ALRA TV.
It's a lovely sunny day here in London, and we're just getting ready to go to Glastonbury. And what we're going to do is talk to local businesses, talk to local groups and people down in Glastonbury, and we're going to invite them to our talk, which is going to take place this coming Sunday on the 27th of October in the town hall at Glastonbury. It's about 140 miles from London, about a 3-hour drive to the West Country. It's in Somerset, the county of Somerset. It's a small town but very spiritual hub, a vortex of spirituality is Glastonbury. And they're so looking forward to this Sufi gathering. His Holiness Younus AlGohar is eagerly awaited there to deliver his speech and to conduct this awakening of the heart. So we're going to drive on down there in a minute, just waiting for the other guys to arrive. We've got a nice team of us. We're going to visit the town hall, where they've very nicely displayed one of our banners outside of the town hall. So we're going to do some leafleting outside of there, and we're actually on the way there as well. If we get time, we have to go past Stonehenge, which is, I mean, historically, it's really one of the wonders of the world. Definitely one of the mysteries of the world, how those stones appeared at Stonehenge. And lots of people seeking spirituality will be there. So most certainly we're gonna, if we have time, we're gonna stop in Stonehenge, and we're gonna do some leafleting there. So stay tuned, and I'll keep you updated on our day's venture down to Somerset. So we're just approaching Stonehenge now. So we're in Wiltshire. We're still on the road to Glastonbury to do our leafleting and our promotion. And as you can see, I mean, this is a very extremely busy historical site of Stonehenge. I mean, it's been thousands of years. Nobody knows where these stones came from. Nobody knows how they had the technology then to actually lift these stones into this circle. But we know that people come from far and wide. I mean, it's a worldwide known historical site of Stonehenge. And people come here for the summer solstice. They form a circle around the stones. They dance around these stones. So this is part of this area of the West Country of England, where they're very much into spirituality. And what we're going to do now is park up, and we're going to do some leafleting right here in Stonehenge and invite them to our Glastonbury show.
From the market cross here at the hour of 5 o'clock in the evening.
So we're in Glastonbury. This is Glastonbury town, and it's all, I mean, every other shop, I used to say, but it is also every shop is holistic. It has all sorts of, there's a good example of how friendly they are. I think these ladies have just left their purse in the shop. But it's a very, very friendly place, and they're very holistically minded people. There's going to be, look, there's going to be a zombie walk at 4 o'clock today. They're going to close the whole road for this zombie walk. We just had the town crier announcing it. So it's just a very, very, it's just an incredible place. And His Holiness Younus AlGohar is going to come to the town hall 27th of October to deliver a monumentous speech about Western Sufism, awakening the heart, and also spiritual healings. I mean, it would be just wonderful. And then the circle of love. So this is the town hall. This is Glastonbury Town Hall. This is exactly where the talk is going to be, and we've got some delegates over there inviting people. So we're going to have a little walk up into the town hall, and we're going to see exactly where the Great Hall is, where His Holiness is going to talk. These screens are actually used for what's going on here at the moment, a fairy market ball, which is taking place. And so this is a wonderful time that we're going to come here and promote, and we're going to talk to all the people in here, invite them all the good people of Glastonbury. Yeah, so this is what's going on, and so let's have a look in here. So this is going to be the Great Hall. His Holiness will be coming up these steps, entering this Great Hall. Obviously, none of this is going to be going on. There'll be 200 people sat in here. This is how much we can fit in here, and we had such a response. I don't see why it's not going to be full up. There's one of the speakers. There's 4 speakers on the sides and speakers on the back. So there's going to be a beautiful PA system, and this is just going on. You just walk in here, and this is going on in the town hall today on Saturday. Next Sunday is going to be our event, and there's the main stage where His Holiness is going to take the podium and deliver a momentous speech on Western Sufism, spiritually awakening the heart, spiritually awakening the souls. And then we'll be doing free spiritual healing. And then there's such a, as you can see, it's a great hall. And we'll be able to do a circle of love here. There's such an array of people. These are all local people. Glastonbury, as I've said so many times, is a spiritual hub. It really is. It's a vortex of all these belief systems, but they're very much in tune with souls, awakening souls. And once they hear this methodology, this science behind the opening of the heart on Sunday, they're going to be blown away. They really are. So we've been advertising on the GFM, the Glastonbury radio. We've been heavily leafleting and displaying it in shop windows, online, on Facebook. It's been advertised on the Oracle, which is the Glastonbury Free Press. They've been advertising for 2 weeks. So we're really looking forward to this fantastic day. And then this will be the end of it, and hopefully there's going to be lots of enlightened hearts at the end of this speech. And actually on the 2nd of November in here, they're going to be having an expo. So I'm going to definitely book a table, and I'm going to attend this expo and keep in touch with all the people that we meet. We can do more heart meditation, because we're not just going to leave them, not these lovely people in Glastonbury. We're going to come back and we're going to just share more knowledge on the souls, more knowledge on the heart, more knowledge about fighting the inner negativity. It's going to be just absolutely wonderful. So I'm going to carry on now, leafleting. We'll go back outside, and I'll keep you updated what's going on. There's always something going on here in Glastonbury, and they've closed off the roads. There's a big gathering here, which is a wonderful opportunity for our guys over there just to start mingling, start inviting people. There's Ashraf over there. So these guys, Ashraf and Mian Zafar, they've come over from America and Canada for this special event in Glastonbury. And so this is it. This is the kind of place it is. It's absolutely beautiful. They do all sorts of events. I don't think these are people that sit home watching television and ordering pizzas. These are sort of home-cooked guys. They're people that socialise, meet up. Wonderful. Okay, so we're expecting a big procession in here. There's so many people here from the media as well that are recording this parade that's going on. So it's just wonderful, and some of our delegates are very nicely explaining exactly what's going to happen at our Glastonbury event on the 27th. This is Mian Zafar from Virginia, America, who's come over. And these are really lovely people there. They're so excited about coming. So, will you be coming to the event?
Yes, I 95%.
Oh my gosh. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be heart awakening, spiritual healing. You feel it? Do you feel the energy? This is a true Sufi master. Full connection of all his souls. Oh wow. So please come and we'll see you on Sunday with the show. Thank you so much. He is lovely. Thank you. It's lovely talking to you.
बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम अस्सलाम वालेकुम नाज़रीन मोहतरम गौहर शाही मरहबा तमाम मुहिबान गौहर शाही की खिदमत में आप मुलाहिज़ा फरमा रहे हैं अलरा टीवी की खुसूसी नशियात जिसमें नुमाइंदा गौहर शाही सैयद यूनुस अलगौहर जनाब अफरोज़ होने वाले हैं। उनसे कबल सैयदना इमाम मेहदी सरकार गौहर शाही की बारगाह अक़दस में नज़राने अक़ीदा के तौर पर मंजूम कलाम नुमाइंदा गौहर शाही सैयद यूनुस अलगौहर का पेश खिदमत है। मेरे साथ हम नवाई में रिजवान गौहर शामिल हैं। सरकार आपकी मेरी हम सब की हाज़िरी को कबूलियत का शर्फ अता फरमाए, आमीन। गौहर शाही गौहर शाही गौहर शाही हम नवाई गौहर शाही शनासाई
गौहर शाही हम नवाई गौहर शाही शनासाई
गौहर शाही हम नवाई
गौहर शाही शनासाई
गौहर शाही
हम नवाई गौहर शाही शनासाई
गौहर शाही हम नवाई गौहर शाही शनासाई
गौहर शाही हम नवाई गौहर शाही शनासाई
गौहर शाही मसीहाई गौहर शाही दिलरुबाई गौहर शाही
मसीहाई
गौहर शाही दिलरुबाई गौहर शाही हम नवाई गौहर शाही
शनासाई
गौहर शाही मेरे माहिब इल्तिजाए सहरगाही
गौहर शाही मेरे माही इल्तिजाए सहरगाही
गौहर शाही मेरे माही गौहर शाही
मेरे माही इल्तिजाए सहरगाही गौहर शाही मेरे माही इल्तिजाए सहरगाही
खिलवते इश्क की साथ में मुझको दे दुरानाई
खिलवते इश्क की साथ में मुझको दे दुरानाई
खिलवते
इश्क की साथ में मुझको दे दुरानाई शाही दिलरुबाई।
तेरा जलवा हो तेरी याद का आँखों से नहीं बरसे।
तेरा जलवा हो तेरी याद का आँखों से मी बरसे।
या गौहर शाही
तेरा जलवा हो तेरी याद का आँखों से मी बरसे।
तेरी जलवत में तेरा नक्श हो और तेरी तन्हाई।
तेरी जलवत में तेरा नक्श हो तेरी तन्हाई। तेरी जलवत में तेरा नक्श हो तेरी तन्हाई।
गौहर शाही मसीहाई।
गौहर शाही दिलरुबाई। गौहर शाही हमनवाई। गौहर शाही शनासाई।
शजराए इश्क की कोपल में तेरी याद महके हैं।
शजराए इश्क की कोपल में तेरी याद महके हैं।
शजराए इश्क की कोपल में तेरी याद महके हैं।
शजराए इश्क की कोपल में तेरी याद महके हैं।
शोख ये दिल भी तेरे जलवाए कामिल से शर्माई।
ये दिल भी तेरे जलवाए कामिल से शर्माई।
शोख ये दिल भी तेरे जलवाए
कामिल से शर्माई।
गौहर शाही हमनवाई। गौहर शाही शनासाई।
गौहर शाही हमनवाई। गौहर शाही शनासाई।
गौहर शाही मसीहाई। गौहर शाही
दिलरुबाई। गौहर शाही मसीहाई। गौहर शाही दिलरुबाई।
वसल क्या चीज है खुशबू को जैसे फूल की संगत।
वसल क्या चीज है खुशबू को जैसे फूल की संगत।
वसल क्या चीज है खुशबू को जैसे फूल की संगत।
वसल क्या चीज है खुशबू को जैसे फूल की संगत।
इश्क क्या चीज है जिस्मों में जैसे रूह की पैराई।
इश्क क्या चीज है जिस्मों में जैसे रूह की पैराई।
इश्क क्या चीज है जिस्मों में जैसे
रूह की पैराई।
गौहर शाही हमनवाई।
गौहर शाही शना
फितरत को।
बंदगी क्या है जैसे कोई ढूंढे अपनी फितरत को।
बंदगी
क्या है जैसे कोई ढूंढे अपनी फितरत को। बंदगी क्या है जैसे कोई ढूंढे अपनी फितरत को।
मोहब्बत चीज है एक दिल की दूजे दिल में बू आई।
मोहब्बत चीज है एक दिल की दूजे दिल में बू आई।
मोहब्बत चीज है एक दिल की दूजे दिल में बू आई।
मोहब्बत चीज है एक दिल की दूजे दिल में बू आई।
गौहर शाही हम नवाई, गौहर शाही शनासाई।
गौहर शाही हम नवाए, गौहर शाही शनासाई।
गौहर शाही मसीहाई,
गौहर शाही दिल रुबाई। गौहर शाही मसीह आई, गौहर शाही दिल रुबाई।
अता गौहर खता यूनुस गौहरदारी वफादारी। अता
गौहर खता यूनुस गौहरदारी वफादारी।
अता गौहर खता यूनुस गौहरदारी वफादारी।
अता गौहर खता यूनुस गौहरदारी वफादारी।
अदाए इश्क गौहर यार पे सौ जान से महवारी।
अदाए इश्क गौहर यार पे सौ जान से महवारी।
अदाए इश्क गौहर यार पे सौ
जान से महवारी। अदाए इश्क गौहर
यार पे
जान से महवारी।
गौहर शाही हम नवाई, गौहर शाही शनासाई।
गौहर शाही हम नवाए, गौहर शाही शनासाई।
गौहर शाही गौहर शाही
गौहर शाही हम नवाए, गौहर शाही शनासाई।
गौहर शाही मसीहाई, गौहर शाही दिल रुबाई। गौहर
शाही मसीहाई, गौहर शाही
दिल रुबाई। गौहर
शाही मसीहाई, गौहर शाही दिल रुबाई।
यकीन महकम रहे गौहर पे तो हर दौर अच्छा है।
यकीन मोहकम रहे गौहर पे तो हर दौर अच्छा है।
जिसे गौहर से उल्फत हो
गौहर से उल्फत हो, गुनाहगार सच्चा है।
नफ्स बेदार है और रूह में इस्तराहत है।
नफ्स बेदार है और रूह में इस्तराहत है। ये जहाँ ख्वाब है, इस ख्वाब का हर रंग कच्चा है। ये जहाँ ख्वाब है, इस ख्वाब का हर रंग कच्चा है।
यकीनों कम रहे गौहर पे तो हर दौर अच्छा है।
यकीन मोहकम रहे गौहर पे तो हर दौर अच्छा है।
मोहब्बत कल्ब से और रूह से आशिक बनूं तेरा।
मोहब्बत कल्ब से और रूह से आशिक बनूं तेरा।
मोहब्बत कल्ब से और रूह से आशिक बनूं तेरा।
मोहब्बत कल्ब से और रूह से आशिक बनूं तेरा। बंदगी नफ्स से और दिल हरी में राज हक़ा है। बंदगी नफ्स से और दिल हरी में राज हक़ा है।
रहे
गौहर पे तो हर दौर अच्छा है।
किसे हाजत रहे सजदों की जब मसजूद अंदर हो।
किसे हाजत रहे सजदों की जब मसजूद अंदर हो।
किसे हाजत रहे सजदों की जब मसजूद अंदर हो। किसे
हाजत रहे सजदों की जब मसजूद अंदर हो।
सजदाए दिल हुजूरी में रहे तो सबसे अच्छा है।
सजदाए दिल हुजूरी में रहे तो सबसे अच्छा है।
सजदाए दिल हुजूरी में रहे तो सबसे अच्छा है।
सजदाए दिल हुजूरी में रहे तो सबसे अच्छा है।
वफादारी मोहब्बत इश्क सब की अताएं हैं।
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 न हो हासिल अगर कुछ भी तो गौहर नाम सच्चा है।
हो हासिल अगर कुछ भी तो गौहर नाम सच्चा है। हो हासिल अगर कुछ भी तो गौहर नाम सच्चा है।
हो हासिल अगर कुछ भी
तो गौहर नाम सच्चा
बखील आबिद से सहबारी भला गौहर का कुका है, बखील आबिद से सहबारी भला गौहर का कुका है,
बखील आबिद से सहबारी भला गौहर का कुका है,
यकीन रहे गौहर पे तो महकम रहे गौहर पे तो हर दौर अच्छा है, यकीन रहे गौहर पे तो हर किस तौर बयां हो सके तारीफ गौहर की,
किस तौर बयां हो सके तारीफ गौहर की, अपने मुकाबिल हो कोई तमसील गौहर की, किस तौर बयां हो सके,
किस तौर बयां हो सके तारीफ गौहर की,
किस तौर बयां हो सके तारीफ गौहर की, मदे मुकाबिल हो कोई,
मदे
मुकाबिल हो कोई तमसील गौहर की, मदे मुकाबिल हो तमसील गौहर की, मदे मुकाबिल हो कोई तमसील गौहर की, किस तौर बयां हो सके तारीफ गौहर की,
जुदो सखा की शान के एहसान खुदा पर,
जुदो सखा की शान के एहसान खुदा पर,
महबूब रब का सर उठा,
महबूब रब का सर उठा, एक नज़र गौहर थी, महबूब रब का सर उठा, एक नज़र गौहर थी, किस तौर बयां हो सके तारीफ गौहर की,
जो वादे फरदा किया खामोश निभाया,
जो वादे फरदा किया खामोश निभाया,
बर्दाश्त की मेराज थी,
बर्दाश्त की मेराज थी, ये सब्र गौहर की, बर्दाश्त की मेराज थी, ये सब्र गौहर की, किस तौर बयां हो सके तारीफ गौहर की,
मेहदी का भेष भर के वो सूए जहाँ आया,
मेहदी का भेष भर के वो सूए जहाँ आया,
मेहदी
चार गुल खिले यही हालत है समर की, किस तौर बयां हो सके तारीफ गौहर की।
सुन लो मज़ारे हस्ती में मदफन है तो मुर्दा,
सुन लो मज़ारे हस्ती में मदफन है तो मुर्दा,
निकले कफन को फाड़ के, निकले कफन को
फाड़ के
किस्मत है शरर की, निकले कफन
को फाड़ के किस्मत है शरर की, किस तौर बयां हो सके तारीफ गौहर की।
मंजूम बयां इश्क की तालीम हो तो हो,
मंजूम बयां इश्क की तालीम हो तो हो,
मंजूम बयां इश्क की तालीम हो तो हो,
पढ़ता नहीं है बात कोई इश्क नसर की, पढ़ता नहीं है बात कोई इश्क नसर की, किस तौर बयां हो सके तारीफ गौहर की।
क्यों इब्तिलाए जुस्तजू पैदा करे दिल में,
क्यों इब्तिलाए जुस्तजू रखती है मुज़तरिब, क्यों इब्तिलाए जुस्तजू रखती है मुज़तरिब,
वारफ्तगी ये इश्क अता नज़र गौहर की, वारफ्तगी ये
इश्क अता
नज़र गौहर की,
किस तौर बयां हो सके तारीफ गौहर की।
पैगाम इश्क जुस्तजू पैदा करे दिल में,
पैगाम इश्क जुस्तजू पैदा कर दिल में,
पैगाम इश्क जुस्तजू पैदा करे दिल में, वो दिल के जिसमें नजर बसे सिर्फ गौहर की, वो दिल जिसमें
नजर
बसे
सिर्फ गौहर की, किस तौर बयां हो सके तारीफ गौहर की।
मुजरिम हूँ अगर कुछ भी कहूँ अपनी ज़बां से,
मुजरिम हूँ अगर कुछ भी कहूँ अपनी जुबान से,
मुजरिम हूँ अगर कुछ भी कहूँ अपनी ज़बां से,
मुजरिम हूँ अगर कुछ भी कहूँ अपनी जुबान से,
आई गौहर से बात वही मैंने नशर की,
आई गौहर से बात वही मैंने नशर
की, किस तौर बयां हो सके
गौहर की किस तौर बयां हो सकी तारीफ गौहर की।
गौहर शाही मरहबा। नाज़रीन मोहतरम, आप टीवी की खुसूसी नशियात कुछ देर बाद नुमाइंदा सैयद यूनुस अलगौहर जलवा अफरोज होने वाले हैं। अब मैं महफिल को आगे बढ़ाते हुए अल्रा टीवी के पैनल की तरफ चलता हूँ ताकि वो वेस्टर्न सूफी कोर्स के बारे में गुफ्तगू कर सकें। मुलाहिज़ा फरमाएं।
It's a lovely sunny day here in London, and we're just getting ready to go to Glastonbury. And what we're going to do is talk to local businesses, talk to local groups and people down in Glastonbury, and we're going to invite them to our talk, which is going to take place this coming Sunday on the 27th of October in the town hall at Glastonbury. It's about 140 miles from London, about a 3-hour drive to the West Country. It's in Somerset, the county of Somerset. It's a small town but very spiritual hub, a vortex of spirituality is Glastonbury. And they're so looking forward to this Sufi gathering. His Holiness Younus AlGohar is eagerly awaited there to deliver his speech and to conduct this awakening of the heart. So we're going to drive on down there in a minute, just waiting for the other guys to arrive. We've got a nice team of us. We're going to visit the town hall where they've very nicely displayed one of our banners outside of the town hall. So we're going to do some leafleting outside of there, and we're actually on the way there as well, if we get time, we have to go past Stonehenge, which is, historically it's really one of the wonders of the world. Definitely one of the mysteries of the world, how those stones appeared at Stonehenge. And lots of people seeking spirituality will be there. So most certainly we're going to, if we have time, we're going to stop in Stonehenge and we're going to do some leafleting there. So stay tuned and I'll keep you updated on our day's venture down to Somerset. So we're just approaching Stonehenge now. So we're in Wiltshire, we're still on the road to Glastonbury to do our leafleting and our promotion. And as you can see, I mean, this is a very extremely busy historical site of Stonehenge. I mean, it's been thousands of years. Nobody knows where these stones came from. Nobody knows how they had the technology then to actually lift these stones into this circle. But we know that people come from far and wide. I mean, it's a worldwide known historical site of Stonehenge. And people come here for the summer solstice. They form a circle around the stones. They dance around these stones. So this is part of this area of the West Country of England, where they're very much into spirituality. And what we're going to do now is park up, and we're going to do some leafleting right here in Stonehenge and invite them to our Glastonbury show.
Right here, royal, the and very worthy heritage of the race to that lips of the Lord of Lovely into the high street from the market cross here at the hour of 5 of the clothing this evening.
So we're in Glastonbury. This is Glastonbury town, and it's all, I mean, every other shop, I used to say, but it's also every shop is holistic. It has all sorts of there. Look, there's a good example of how friendly they are. I think these ladies have just left their purse in the shop. But it's a very, very friendly place, and they're very holistically minded people. There's going to be, look, there's going to be a zombie walk at 4 o'clock today. They're going to close the whole road for this zombie walk. We just had the town crier announcing it. So it's just a very, very It's just an incredible place. And His Holiness Younus AlGohar is going to come to the town hall 27th of October to deliver a monumentous speech about Western Sufism, awakening the heart, and also spiritual healings. I mean, it would be just wonderful. And then the circle of love. So this is the town hall. This is Glastonbury Town Hall. This is exactly where the talk is going to be. And we've got some delegates over there inviting people. So we're going to have a little walk up into the town hall, and we're going to see exactly where the Great Hall is, where His Holiness is going to talk. These screens are actually used for what's going on here at the moment, a fairy market ball, which is taking place. And so this is a wonderful time that we're going to come here and promote, and we're going to talk to all the people in here, invite them all the good people of Glastonbury. Yeah, so this is what's going on, and so let's have a look in here. So this is going to be the Great Hall. His Holiness will be coming up these steps, entering this Great Hall. Obviously, none of this is going to be going on. There'll be 200 people sat in here. This is how much we can fit in here, and we had such a response. I don't see why it's not going to be full up. There's one of the speakers. There's 4 speakers on the sides and speakers on the back. So there's going to be a beautiful PA system, and this is just going on. You just walk in here, and this is going on in the town hall today on Saturday. Next Sunday is going to be our event, and there's the main stage where His Holiness is going to take the podium and deliver a momentous speech on Western Sufism, spiritually awakening the heart, spiritually awakening the souls. And then we'll be doing free spiritual healing. And then there's such a, I mean, as you can see, it's a great hall, and we'll be able to do a circle of love here. You know, there's such an array of people. These are all local people. Glastonbury, as I've said so many times, is a spiritual hub. It really is. It's a vortex of all these belief systems, but they're very much in tune with souls, awakening souls. And once they hear this methodology, this science behind the opening of the heart on Sunday, they're going to be blown away. They really are. So we've been advertising on the GFM, the Glastonbury radio. We've been heavily leafleting and displaying it in shop windows, online, on Facebook. It's been advertised on the Oracle, which is the Glastonbury Free Press. They've been advertising for 2 weeks. So we're really looking forward to this fantastic day. So, and then this will be the end of it, and hopefully there's going to be lots of enlightened hearts at the end of this speech. And actually, on the 2nd of November in here, they're going to be having an expo. So I'm going to definitely book a table, and I'm going to attend this expo and keep in touch with all the people that we meet. We can do more heart meditation, because we're not just going to leave them, not these lovely people in Glastonbury. We're going to come back, and we're going to just share more knowledge on the souls, more knowledge on the heart, more knowledge about fighting the inner negativity. It's going to be just absolutely wonderful. So I'm going to carry on now, leafleting. We'll go back outside, and I'll keep you updated what's going on. There's always something going on here in Glastonbury, and they've closed off the roads. There's a big gathering here, which is a wonderful opportunity for our guys over there just to start mingling, start inviting people. There's Ashfaq over there. So these guys, Ashfaq and Mian Zafar, they've come over from America and Canada for this special event in Glastonbury. And so this is it. This is the kind of place it is. It's absolutely beautiful. They do all sorts of events. I don't think these are people that sit home watching television and ordering pizzas. These are sort of home cooked guys. They're people that socialise, meet up, Wonderful. Okay, so we're expecting a big procession in here. There's so many people here from the media as well that are recording this parade that's going on. So it's just wonderful, and some of our delegates are very nicely explaining exactly what's going to happen at our Glastonbury event on the 27th. This is Younus AlGohar from Virginia, America, who's come over. And these are really lovely people there. They're so excited about coming. So will you be coming to the event?
Yes, I 95%.
Oh my gosh. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be heart awakening, spiritual healing. You feel it? Do you feel that energy? This is a true Sufi master, full connection of all his souls. Oh wow. So please come, and we'll see you on Sunday with the show. Thank you so much. It is lovely. Thank you. It's lovely talking to you. Goshi Maraba, and welcome in Goa Shahi. We'll do a recap and a summary about yesterday's wonderful speech. It was just so powerful. I'm sure everybody felt that same energy. I mean, when His Holiness speaks, these words are wrapped in divine light, and they're wrapped in divine energy, and it just seems to enter your heart, right into your core of existence when you're listening, and you just resonate with everything that's being said. There was most certainly a lot of new teachings, and a lot of secrets were revealed. And sometimes some of the things that we've been saying in the past about how the heart is initiated, how the heart is activated, were slight variations on it. Did you find that on yesterday? So it was really, and just as you saw then, that people are so excited about all these events that are going to happen in UK, all about heart activation. This is just time to perfection, that we're really getting buzzed now about this heart activation. And not only His Holiness, it's just been from A to Z about how it's awakened, how it's nurtured. And then he went on to the family of souls, how the souls are producing these babies, and it just went on beautifully. So I'd like to start by just mentioning, because I think this is such an important fact as well about the souls, the difference between the terrestrial and the celestial souls. Because I don't think it's been, well, I know it hasn't been spoken about enough. So people just presume, because they have all their senses, they're functioning, they're feeling energy, which they do, as His Holiness says quite often, that there are energies in stones, in yoga, performing such rituals, you do get energies. Yeah. So people think, I'm already enlightened, my souls are already there. So, in fact, halfway they're right. But these are the terrestrial souls. These are the souls that are already active when we're born, relating to the mineral, the botanical, and the bio. And these do not need nurturing, and this isn't the goal of life. This isn't the purpose of our existence. Nothing to do with the terrestrial souls. Our purpose in life is to reawaken the celestial souls. And obviously, we're not just left there saying you have to do it. We're told exactly how it's done. And I thought beautifully, as always, His Holiness has very subtle and very easy to listen explanations and descriptions of actual processes. So whereas we always used to be quite harsh, saying initiation of name of God, and sometimes people were a bit worried, now His Holiness is saying this is a divine mystical formula. A divine mystical formula will awaken the heart. And whereas most certainly we always thought it was the spiritual heart. Exactly. We always thought that this was dealing with the spiritual heart.
But His Holiness says, obviously, the spiritual heart has a huge part to deal in the process. But it's actually the physical heart that has the mystical formula implanted in it, in the form of the name of God. And His Holiness went further to say that people use very long mottos, either as a heart initiation, or they use a very short motto. They'll just say Allah, or they'll just say a long motto of God. And neither of these are really going to do the job. Basically, it needs to be in time with the heartbeat, which is, if you imagine the rhythm is tick-tock, tick-tock, this is the rhythm, otherwise it's wasted. One of those beats is going to always be wasted. And so in the remembrance of God, which is going to be an eternal remembrance, it's very important that it beats in time with the heart, tick-tock, tick-tock. So this is why when people have in the past said Ram, His Holiness Gohar gives that mantra of Ra Ram, Ra Ram, Ra Ram. And for Christians, Ya Isa, Ya Isa. So these are rhythmic into the heartbeat, and this is the mystical formula. And this is the part of it. Just the remembrance of God is a part of the two processes that the awakening of the heart needs. First of all, this remembrance of God's name, but secondly, to produce divine light, to produce divine energy. And this is produced by this rhythmic chanting. And this divine energy then is transferred from the physical heart into the spiritual heart. And then through obviously the beating system and through the process of the body, then it's intermingles and it's distributed to all the places it has to be in the body. Very much like food. Whereas we eat food, it goes into the stomach, but it still has to feed right up from your brain right down to your toes. It all needs energy, and that's broken down in your stomach, and then it's distributed. So that was used as a beautiful example of the distribution, and of course His Holiness reminded us that, you know, the mouth is a place where you put food. There's no point in putting food in your ear. You put food into your mouth in the same way that you put this divine light into your heart, which was really wonderful description and easily explained and easily for us to remember and learn. I'm sure everything just resonated with everybody last night and sunk in with everybody. And then His Holiness went on to tell us about the cultivating of the heart, which was I really enjoyed, you know, the cultivating in the heart. So we can discuss that a little bit now, if anybody would like to take over about the...
I'll take over. So then the point was made that after initiation of your spiritual heart, it doesn't just start immediately chanting God's name. It isn't immediately involved in remembrance of God just yet. So first you have the physical heart that is synchronized with the name of God, and like Brother Steve explained, we need these 2-syllable chants, so like Ya Isa or Ra Ram or Allahu, and this produces divine energy, and then that divine energy is what nurtures and cultivates the spiritual heart until it is able to do that chanting itself. And it can't, since the physical heart is beating, it has that tick-tock rhythm, you can't do the, just when the spiritual heart is reawakened, you can't just immediately start off with a really long motto like La ilaha illallah. You must start off with something short like Allahu, then 2 syllables, and then afterwards, eventually, after a while of the Allahu chanting, then your heart will be able to do the longer motto chanting.
You had the visualization as well, didn't you?
Oh, yeah,
that increases the speed and the quality of the cultivating of the heart. But there was two parts to the.
Because it reaches an advanced stage.
Yeah, so there's two paths to reaching higher stages of the heart. There's the longer route through just your heart commemorating God's name. Then there's the shortcut, as His Holiness explained, where you visualize the name of God entering into your eyes. You visualize the name of God with your eyes, and then the divine light, divine energy from God's name emanates and is absorbed by your eyes, and is effectively digested into your heart as well. And it was also mentioned that this is 1,000 times more effective.
Yeah.
I think it
was 1,000 times more effective. So that just puts into perspective how much of a shortcut it is. And
that was a beautiful. Was that some guides have God's name, but some guides have God in them.
Oh, yeah.
That was a beautiful point. So if we are blessed as we are, that we have a guide that has God in him, then we can visualize the face of our spiritual master.
Exactly.
You know, instead of
super speedy.
So Stephen, you want to continue on that?
Yesterday was an eye opener, and it truly broke apart the previous maybe self-concocted foundation that we had made for ourselves in understanding the mechanism, the spiritual mechanism. And one of the banging points were, it really stood out, and that was that the physical heart is separate and the spiritual heart is obviously separate, but then the functions of the two. And what we previously used to think was, and we weren't able to understand the difference, was that the spiritual heart is the one that carries out the remembrance and the zikr of God. Whereas yesterday we learnt, and we learned that after awakening of the spiritual heart, then after the awakening of the spiritual heart, which the spiritual mentor, the mediator does, then to sustain the life of the spiritual heart, what the spiritual mediator does is he implants the name of God within the physical heart. And then it just resonates with Sarkar's words, with His Divine Eminence Lord Younus AlGohar Shahi's words in so many speeches. And it was always, the introductory message, which His Holiness would say that, they hold the rosary and they say Allahu, 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 Allahu with the rosary. And if not that, then they are sitting in the corner and they're doing Allahu with the tongue. And His Divine Eminence said that this activity of the rosary and saying God's name with the rosary, you're doing it with your hands. So all the divine energy that you're generating, it's left within your fingers. And in the same way, when you're doing it with your mouth and you have no inner awakening, then when you're saying Allahu, Allahu, or God, God, Jesus, Jesus, Ram, Ram, that spiritual energy, because it's God's name, when you say God's name, it's going to naturally produce divine energy. So when you're saying it like this physically, that divine energy is being wasted on superficial things, on things outside of us. So His Divine Eminence would always say that instead of getting a rosary and saying God's name with the rosary, or sitting in a corner and carrying out this form of zikr through our tongues, wouldn't it not be better that you have that zikr implanted within the heart? And it just completely, everything fell into place yesterday in understanding that the physical heart is what is made to do zikr. So when the physical heart is remembering God, it's saying Ya Isa, Ra Ram, Allahu, Allahu. When it says these mystical formulas, it's generating divine energy. And now because the spiritual heart has been awakened, it's absorbing that divine energy. So the first stage was the awakening of the spiritual heart, and now because it's absorbing the divine energy that the physical heart is making, now it moves on, and then we have the spiritual hacks, the cheat codes, or the shortcuts, such as the visualization of God's name. And His Holiness Younus AlGohar said that God's name, the written name, or how we see it, when you see God's name, the name itself of God is obviously very powerful spiritually in nature, right? Yep. So when you visualize it, and the visualization of God's name on your heart, it's going to benefit you 1,000 times more. It's going to generate 1,000 times more divine energy than what you would have just having remembered God through the heart. So that speeds up the process and it expedites the process of growth. And using various methods of generating divine energy and helping the spiritual heart grow, when you have finally reached the age of cultivation, which His Divine Eminence gave an example of, and this is obviously just an example because it perfectly works regardless of the nature of it, and the example was that this stage of the divine cultivation is reminiscent and similar to like a young girl. When she reaches the age of puberty, we know that when she has her first menses, when she's going through the first menses, that we know she's going through puberty. And this biologically means that she's now ready to give birth to a baby. She can biologically bore a baby. So this, in the exact same way, we need to understand that once the heart has the spiritual heart has received so much different forms of divine energy, it's ready now, it's grown to the age of cultivation, that now it's ready to further advance and perform the functions that it's supposed to perform. And when the spiritual mediator sees that it's ready for cultivation, then in the same way that when a young girl is ready and a man and a woman, when they copulate, the sperm from the male sperm goes into the female womb, and it's ready to create a child. In the same way, when the spiritual heart is ready for cultivation and the spiritual mediator sees this, what he does is that he sees the aspirant, the disciple, and he takes the spiritual sperm from his own heart, from his own spiritual heart, and he inserts it into the spiritual heart of the seeker, of the disciple. And this act, when the spiritual sperm of the spiritual mediator goes into the spiritual heart of the disciple, this gives birth to a new baby, a new soul from within the spiritual heart. And that new baby, that new heart is called Qalb Salim, the secured heart. And then His Holiness also explained what the secured heart means, and gave an example of how we have secured internet lines or secured telephone lines. And what they mean is that when you have a secured internet line, otherwise when you have common broadband lines, they can be interrupted and interfered with whenever anybody is using the internet. So if your neighbor is using the internet, it will be interfered with. But when you have a secured line, you have a direct connection to the ISP, the internet provider, and it can't be disrupted or interfered with. In the same way, when you have your spiritual heart has grown, cultivated, and the spiritual mediator has placed within it the spiritual sperm from his heart, it's now given birth to Qalb Salim, the secured heart. That secured heart cannot be interfered with or disrupted by the devil. So it's secured and it can't be interfered with any longer. You can't be put onto any wrong path, because now it's secured. And then it was made so easy. It's like a sequence, a chain of events, whereby His Holiness said it was the awakening of the spiritual heart, the nurturing of the spiritual heart with the mystical formula, then the cultivation, and then the reproduction of the spiritual heart. So it was all in line, wasn't it? Would you like to mention something about the reproduction of the spiritual heart? Whatever you remember.
Yeah, so
amazing point.
Yeah, so as Nasser explained, the spiritual master will insert his a spiritual sperm, but the thing is, it's not a sperm. It's nothing like that. It's just a chunk of divine energy. Exactly. And that will enter the spiritual heart after it's cultivated, and then it will produce the new secured heart, and then that secured heart will be made out of divine energy itself, because it was birthed from divine energy. And
there was two parts to the secured heart as well. That's very important. two. Do you remember that? There's two functions that the secured heart can perform.
It can
One of
show
them is the
audience
connection,
of God, connection, and then-
audience with God, and the other one was when God comes to the full sky.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So-
do you want
The announcements, the audience of
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
So if God wants to, God will come down to earth and he will declare his love out loud to the world.
Yeah.
And then people with the secured hearts, their hearts will go up and join the audience of God. They will be in the audience of God
Yes.
and listen to whatever God says. Yeah.
So we really discovered that there's two parts to the secured heart.
There was one more point you might remember. Once you get the secured heart, His Holiness said that when you're reading the Quran or the Bible or the Torah or any celestial book, what happens usually is, and it's important to say this first as well, that commonly we have these rituals, especially with Muslims, that they read the Quran and they memorize it. Yeah. And it's called Hifz Quran, and someone who's memorized the Quran, they call it Hafiz, right? And in society they hold a really esteemed position. So like if you meet someone that's a Hafiz of the Quran, someone who's memorized the Quran, they're respected, that oh my gosh, God has allowed them to memorize the Quran and the Quran is now in their heart. Whereas you have mentally memorized the Quran, and then it comes down to the interpretation. You've memorized the words, but do you understand the interpretation? It's like I can memorize Harry Potter, but do I even know what's inside it? Right? So the point was, we have interpretations, like the Bible is 2,000 years old. The Quran is 1,400 years old. And it's gone through multiple interpretations every single month, every single week and year. And 2,000 years, 1,400 years, how many interpretations do we have? How would we know what is the actual interpretation, what is the actual meaning which God intended? And His Divine Eminence Gohar Shahi said that if you want the true interpretation, instead of reading books, why don't you reach the source? And here it was revealed yesterday how exactly you reach the source, that you cultivate the heart, and then once it goes through the process of reproduction, now you have Qalb Salim, the secured heart, the new baby from the heart. And one of the functions of that secured heart is that after having the baby, the secured heart, now when you read the Quran, God will send the true interpretation of the meaning of the Quran in your heart, the true interpretation of the Bible in your heart, of the Vedas, of the Torah on your heart. And that is how you become a true Sufi. That is how a Jew would become a true Jew, a Hindu would become a true Hindu. And again, it brings us back to the point from the day before yesterday, that spirituality in a whole is a package, and not any one religion had the entire, the complete form of spirituality. Yep. That was amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it really hit home that you most certainly can't be an absorbing student if you don't have that secured heart. Yes. So how could you be a scholar?
Exactly.
I mean, how are scholars preaching these spiritual books and they don't have a secured heart? It's very dangerous, isn't it? Very, very dangerous. Okay, so should we go on to the next stage then? Well, the secured heart, once it's enlightened, then what will we go on to?
Then next, I believe the spiritual master will have to insert that chunk of divine energy, that spiritual sperm, which will give birth to the next stage, which was the directed heart, I believe. Qalb Munib.
Guided. There was lots of.
Should I? Yeah. So it was the first baby is the Qalb Salim, the secured heart. And then His Holiness went on to explain that after you have the secured heart, then again it goes through the process of cultivation. Still, now it's generating more divine energy and it's getting even more stronger. And then again, when it's ready for cultivation and the spiritual mediator sees that, okay, it's ready for cultivation again he takes out that chunk of divine energy, the spiritual sperm, implants it within the spiritual heart, and now is giving birth to the second baby. The spiritual heart is giving birth to the second baby, and that is Qalb Munib, the guided heart, and has been the directed heart, which is now directed towards God. And then after the birth of 2 babies, then God, again, when it's gone through this stage of cultivation again, now God says to the spiritual mediator that, the disciple has managed to spiritually awaken and nurture, and then bore 2 spiritual babies from the heart. So he's done 2 now, and now I, God, will be helping with the 3rd baby. And then what God does is he invites the ana of the individual, of the disciple, to Maqam-e Mahmud, which His Divine Eminence, which His Holiness said was the viewing gallery, right? I'd like you to.
Yeah, I mean, that's the divine viewing gallery, and then you're in the audience then of God. You're in the presence of God. He unveils himself, and you look through this divine viewing gallery, and then you see God, and obviously it comes into your eyes, and when you return, it's just wonderful. And then we can go on to the transcendental meditation after that, which is after that process, after you have the 3 enlightenment, but it's the secured heart
that has the functions.
That has the functions, yeah. So that leaves the body, and it's like a bird, and it travels inter-realm, isn't it? Really, intergalactic and inter-realm transcendental meditation, and it goes into it sees once it arrives there, it sees the spiritual master, and it sees the soul of the spiritual master, and then they become friends. They bond together with this mutual love, and so the bond becomes very, very strong at that stage. And they will see Jesus as well, and so many dignitaries. I mean, as His Holiness mentioned before about, which was, I keep thinking back to that moment, as he gave the example of this American dream, whatever that may mean, that people have these dreams and have these fantasies, what they're going to do and how their life should be. But a Sufi has goals, and a Sufi has a direction. A Sufi has an end product that they're looking at, and they just steer themselves towards that, not being wandered off either side. And I think, if anything, I mean, we talk about cricket a lot, don't we? So let's mention cricket. And I certainly would think if it's a friendly match, as much as you try to convince yourself to play with all your heart, with all your strength, it's still in the back of your mind it's a friendly match. It never goes. If it's a league match, you'll play a bit harder. It's a league match. We want to get up high in the league. If it's a knockout tournament, then you will go all guns blazing. We're going to stay in the cup. So I think if there was ever an incentive to stay on this spiritual path, it's this, isn't it? If you ever needed, like a sport or a business, they need some kind of reward. You need at the end of it, you're going to get a pay rise. If you play well, you're going to get a cup in cricket, and there's always incentives to things. So I think the fact that you're going to be in this viewing gallery, your soul's going to be transcendental meditation. It's going to go up to these higher realms. I think that's going to give us all now this incentive to stay on this path.
Because now you see it, don't you? You see the goal.
Yeah, you see the goal. So that was, really beautiful for me.
One more point I didn't want to leave out. Do you remember the spiritual offspring?
Yes, yeah.
So His Holiness spoke about an ayah of the Quran, and in that ayah God says, a verse from the Quran, that neither would your sons nor will your wealth be of any benefit to you on the day of judgment. What would be of benefit is when you bring to me the qalb salim, the secured heart. And that was an amazing point. And His Holiness said that he thought that why would God mention the sons and the wealth? Why would He mention the sons here? And why would He mention the sons here when what actually stood out was that because qalb salim, the secured heart, is an offspring, your spiritual offspring. And in the same way, God is saying that your sons, your physical offspring, would be of no benefit to you. What would be of benefit to you is the spiritual offspring that you bring forward toward Him. Now, that was an amazing point. And in the same way, His Holiness explained Ali Muhammad, where Ghaus Pak said that every muttaqi, every divine seeker would be from the progeny of Muhammad. And how is that possible, right? Because we think only those that were from the bloodline of Prophet Muhammad would be from the progeny of Prophet Muhammad, whereas His Holiness explained that this inner mechanism, when Prophet Muhammad would be implanting his spiritual seed within you, which will be giving birth to the spiritual heart, to the baby of the secured heart, that is the divine, the spiritual offspring of Prophet Muhammad. And this is how this would be the spiritual progeny of Prophet Muhammad. And this is what Ghaus Pak said, and this is what he meant when he said that every muttaqi would be from the al of Prophet Muhammad, the progeny of Prophet Muhammad. And then the point of Lord Jesus Christ, I mean, I think it's gravely misunderstood when people say that Lord Jesus Christ is the Son of God. And it's so easily to understand that no man touched Mother Mary. So how did she give birth to, inform the man that we know as Lord Jesus Christ? It's because God implanted the spiritual chunk of divine energy, the spiritual sperm within Mother Mary, which helped her to bear the physical body of Lord Jesus Christ. And this is how we know him to be the Son of God, not the physical Son of God. It's through the same spiritual mechanism that she gave birth to Lord Jesus Christ, and this is how he's the spiritual Son of God, in the same way that our spiritual hearts can give birth to the spiritual heart family, such as the secured heart, the directed, guided heart, and the witnessing heart. And I can't wait for day 8 to start, and one of the anchorage of the spiritual heart. I'm so excited to hear of that.
Goshai Marhaba. And good evening to everybody. Portland. I'm going to start day 8 with a statement from Bayezid Bastami Rahmatullah alayh. He's one of the mystics of medieval Islam. And what a wonderful mystic he was. Somebody asked him, how did you find God? And he said, I never looked for God. Somebody asked him, how did you find God? And he said, I never looked for God. God found me. Now the question is, what was so distinctive about him that the entire world is left ignored by God and God found him? These words are very profound, and these words have a very subtle, concealed, hidden meaning. We look for God, but then I think it's just a sentence that we use. We don't mean it, and we don't really understand what we are saying when we say, I'm looking for God. I want to find God. Let's compare it. If you're looking for your car, you parked it somewhere and you're looking for it, what will first come to your mind? Where did I park my car? You'll try to recall the location where you parked your car. So in order to find your car, you will need to know the location of your car. When we find, or we say we want to find God, do we care for the divine location? Do we want to know where is God stationed? What is God's location? No. So it's just a sentence. Finding God is just a sentence. In reality, it is God who will find you. But now the question is, if it is God who will find us, when will He find us? And then people who in the name of God are doing all sorts of bad things, why they have not been found by God? In every religion, there are dozens of sects, dozens of different schools of thoughts, dozens of denominations. And within a religion, one group of people will totally differ in fundamental belief system with the other one. How come these people were never found by God? But thanks to His Holiness Sarkar Gohar Shahi, Sarkar Gohar Shahi reveals upon humanity how to help God find you. How to help God find you. For example, if you live in America, they have this system in the car. There is, on your key fob, there is a panic button. Because there are large parking lots in America. Everything is big in America. So when you park your car somewhere and you don't know where your car is because the parking lot is really, really big. So you just press the panic button and the alarm will start in your car and you'll find your car. So simple, isn't it? So there is a system in the car which will help you find the car. There is a system in the car which will help you find the car. Similarly, His Holiness Gohar Shahi said, you must help God find you. How will this happen? Now, His Holiness Gohar Shahi gives an example of the shining stars in the sky. His Holiness Gohar Shahi said, you may not necessarily know names of all the stars that you see in the sky, but you can recognize their presence because they are shining. And those who are not shining will not catch your glimpse, will not come under the radar of your eyes. The only reason why you can see them, because they're shining. It's all very dark in there. So in order to recognize anything, in order to spot anything, one has to stand out. Right? In a similar way, His Holiness Gohar Shahi said, God looks at His beloved at all times. God and those whom He has befriended with, those who have become saints of God, God will look at them 360 times a day. If you have become a saint of God, God will look at you 360 times a day. And that's it. But sometimes, once in a blue moon, sometimes out of His normal pattern, He wants to see towards common people. And when He wants to see the common people, then He doesn't look at your faces. He doesn't look at your actions and deeds and your different forms of worship. Then He will look at your heart. Now, this is historical sentence, what Sarkar said. Like in the sky, all the glittery, shiny stars are visible for you. All the glittery and shiny stars up there in the sky are seen by you without any difficulty, whether you know their name or you do not know their name. In a similar way, all the hearts which are enlightened, all the hearts that have obtained the divine shine and they are light up with God's name, whether they follow a religion or they do not follow a religion, they are shining and they will come under the sight of God. And this is how God will find you, because your heart is shining. This is very simple truth, not difficult one to understand. So in order to be found by God, all we need to do is to make our heart shiny. How do we shine our heart? The Prophet said there is a polish for everything. And the polish of the heart is the eternal and internal remembrance of God. When remembrance of God becomes permanent in your heart and it starts generating divine energy, divine light, that divine light will keep your heart illumined. And then only the illumined heart will catch the glimpse of the divine side. That's the secret. This is the goal. In the olden times, rebuffing of the heart, polishing of the heart, enlightenment of the heart was only possible through a religion. Without a religion, humanity was not able to enlighten their hearts. But now, when most of the religions have lost their glory and the spiritual system in them is destroyed, and even those who practice a religion very strictly and vigorously, they do not manage to shine their hearts. Why? Because the spiritual system is destroyed in them. And they're only confined to the ritualistic practice of the religion. They have forgotten the significance of heart. They have forgotten that it is the heart that will help God find you. Religious people these days are only restricted to verbal chanting of the name of God. Whereas God doesn't look at your faces. God doesn't look at your actions and deeds. Why? We don't know, but that's what God said. So now God is being a little more benevolent upon humanity. He has opened the doors of His love, His nearness, and manifestation to all those who want to get it without a precondition of adopting a religion. You do not need to adopt a religion today, though that had been a pattern of the divine behavior in the past. Since all the religions have lost their glory and the practitioners of every religion have become null and void of the spiritual sciences, spiritual secrets, and the performance of worship that they are busy with is proving to be a waste of time, futile, fruitless. They're getting nowhere with the type of worship that they are engaged within. It is high time now that we should turn towards spirituality. This hasn't been the divine behavior in the past. In the past, in order to shine your heart, you needed to adopt a religion. But this is not a condition anymore. Why it is not a condition anymore? Because the religions are not able to dispense the spiritual knowledge anymore. I mean, is there any religion today that is equipped with spiritual sciences? They do talk about spirituality sometimes, but it's not about the knowledge of spirituality. It's about the spiritual mechanism. It's about the practical methodology. It's about the truth there and then. That is missing. So let's study the science that will ultimately become a kind of help with which you will be located, you will be traced, you will be found by God Himself. It's like you're carrying a GPS equipment wherever you are. If your heart is enlightened, God is watching you. इधर पानी रखा होता था ना? Wherever you are, God is watching you. Now, in yellow color are the enlightened hearts. Yellow color are the enlightened hearts. And the one in white, they're not enlightened, right? Now this man is a Muslim. This is a Hindu. This is a Christian. And this one is a Jew. They practice a religion, but for somehow or other, whether they have been infected with knowledge of hatred, or they have been told that spirituality has nothing to do with the religion, you don't need spirituality. For any reason, they did not practice spirituality and they were stuck with the rituals of the religion. They were not able to enlighten their hearts. And then there are those who've been living a very sinful life, who never practiced a religion, but somehow or other they got the activation of the heart. They went to an expo somewhere, they're passing by. Activation of the heart, what is it? I don't understand. It's all right, just close your eyes. The hearts were enlightened. They will be recognized by God because they are shiny. They are shiny. God will look at these enlightened hearts. What will then happen? What will then happen? Once God has spotted you, after this spotting, you will be sort of registered with God. God will recognize your presence. And theophanies of God will start to descend on your heart. Theophanies of God. Now at this stage, your heart is already producing divine energy. And as soon as your heart became enlightened, it was spotted by God. And after the first sighting, when for the first time God sighted your heart, He will start to shower your heart with divine light. Baran-e-Rahmat. Now when the theophanies of God starts to descend on your heart, this is the time when you will develop a relationship with God. Now, God will take over as a guide from your spiritual master. And God will guide you now. Right? And once you have been spotted by God, and the divine light, the theophanies of God, have started falling on your heart, your heart will begin to feel God's presence around it. How? Because of the theophanies of God falling upon your heart. These theophanies of God that will descend on your heart will make God's presence felt by your heart. So this is God's presence. And this comes after the enlightenment of the heart. I hope you understand. So how do you obtain God's presence? Your heart is enlightened, and then one day, whenever God will want to look at common people, whenever, it's not every day, sometimes He looks at them, and when He sometimes decides to look at common people, then He doesn't look at your bodies. He doesn't look at your deeds and actions. He will look at your heart. If your heart is enlightened, it will be automatically spotted by God. And when it is spotted by God, instantly, the divine mercy, theophanies of God will start falling upon it. Do you understand my point? When you become a saint, they will become regular 360 times. But when you're not a saint, you just have an enlightened heart, then occasionally God will send His theophanies on your heart, bearing in mind the capacity and strength of your heart. And for you, this will be God's presence. In that moment when God's theophanies are falling upon your heart, you will feel the environment is filled with the presence. You will feel that God is here. And what is it that will make you feel God's presence? The theophanies of God falling on your heart. This is God's presence. I would like to ask Brother Steve and others to discuss this, because I want to move on, point by point. Otherwise, people tend to forget things when there are too many points.
We want to find God. How do we find God? But this is beautiful. Younus AlGohar is offering help, how we can help God to find us, which is wonderful. And as this Younus said, that even the common people, God does want to look at them sometimes, from time to time. And He doesn't look at the actions, He doesn't look at the worship, He doesn't look at the deeds. He just wants to see the shiny hearts. And His Younus AlGohar gave us the example of the stars in the sky, that you can see only the shiny stars in the sky, and very similar fact that God looks down and looks all the hearts, and whether the people have adopted a religion or they haven't, the shiny ones are the ones that catch God's eye. So this is how we can help God find us, is by having the shiny hearts, the enlightened hearts. Do you want to add anything to that briefly?
Yeah. Through that stage, Ms. Younus explained where there are saints of God who God looks at them 365 times a day. And to a point where when God wants to look at common people, He looks at them from time to time to find out if there's any loving souls, if there's any shiny hearts that are enlightened. So if you're at that point where you have an enlightened heart, your heart will shine out. Just like the way, like you were just mentioning, as His Holiness explained, when we look at the sky, we see the shiny stars in the sky. There are obviously so many other stars, but we don't see all of them. The ones that catch our eye are the ones that are the shiny ones. So similarly, once you have your heart enlightened, it begins to shine, and that's where, at that moment when God wants to look at common people and He sees shiny hearts, it doesn't matter how you look like, what you're wearing, what your actions are. At that moment, it's your heart that counts. And when you have that shiny heart, then He's able to look at you, and His Holiness explained the different process of how you come under the glance and the love and manifestation of God. If you want to continue.
Yeah. So when God decides to look at the common folk, and then He sees the enlightened heart of a man, then He will send His theophanies upon the heart of that man, and they will feel it. They will feel the presence of God in the environment. And another example made was cars have the panic button so that you can find it, because car parks can be quite big, and then that's how you're able to find your car in the car park.
Built into the car, isn't it? Yeah.
It's a built-in feature.
Okay. Yes.
spiritual anchorage. Wama adra kamal spiritual anchorage. इंटरनेट बंद हो रहा है बार बार. हमारा चल रहा है वो, ये बंद है. बार बार बंद हो रहा है लाइव स्ट्रीम, लोग कह रहे हैं. क्या हो गया कनेक्शन? Now it's live, but it's been many times. Ali Chaudhary from Casablanca. जी बोलिए. What is the spiritual anchorage? I want to make sure that the internet is internet doesn't stop again. Should we wait and see if it's stable? Ali Chaudhary, look, I'm speaking live and you're asking me if you can call me right now. Do you think it makes sense? If somebody is already engaged and busy, do you want to call them to disturb everything? That's not nice. Anchor is used for the boats when they come to the shore to tie them so that they can stay there. So that the waves do not take away the boat from the shore. So it's kind of protection. In a similar way, a spiritual anchorage is for the elite ones, because the heart is like a vessel. The heart is like a vessel, it's like a boat. And this world is like an ocean. So the boat sails in the deep waters of this world. And it is important for the smooth sailing of the boat that the water does not enter the boat. Water doesn't enter the boat. So those who want to completely absorb God's light and, let me say, God in them, and they want a perfect union with God, an anchorage is provided to them by their Sufi masters. And whoever has this anchorage, it is guaranteed that they will reach their destination and they will never stop, they will never go wrong. This is a heart. This is the main heart, which is called pine heart. Pine heart. In Urdu, qalb sanobar. Pine heart. When God's name is implanted, it starts to generate divine energy. Right? It starts to generate divine energy. And after a considerable amount of divine energy, once produced inside the heart, the first baby comes out from the heart, and that is known as secured. Qalb Salim. And then the next one, Qalb Munib. And then the third one, witnessing heart. Right? Witnessing heart. So the base of the heart is pine heart. It stays there forever. It's like mother of 3 babies of the family of the heart. Secured heart, the directed heart, and the witnessing heart. What is spiritual anchorage? The Sufi master, if he decides to do this, will, let me give you an example of a chemical equation, like C4, C4H. Now there are CH4, there are 4 molecules of hydrogen with carbon. For any chemical equation, for any chemical combination, you want to make a radical. You want to make out a radical, which will mean one molecule of hydrogen will be removed, right? And then it will make a combination with other molecules, with other atoms, right? CH4. So when you make a radical of this, one molecule of hydrogen is taken off. Now it's CH3. Now this is a radical, methyl. Similarly, the heart has 4 places. One is preoccupied, 3 babies are there. So the Sufi master will take one heart baby out of the base unit of the heart. The base unit of the heart, he will take one baby heart out. Secured heart is gone. Where will it go? The Sufi master will insert your secured heart in his heart. And one of his baby heart will come and live in your heart. Jesus used to do it, and this act used to be called Pentecostal. Jesus used to do it long time ago. When this happens, then you are traveling on the path of love with the destination inside you. With the destination inside you. This is called spiritual anchorage. Right? If the Sufi, now it depends how great in spirituality or how elevated status is your spiritual masters will depend very much on your spiritual progress. There are 3 stages of spiritual anchorship. Fanafi Sheikh, annihilation through spiritual master. Fanafi Rasul, annihilation through the messenger of your religion. Annihilation through God. Right? Fanafillah. These are the 3 stages of anchorage. Now, His Holiness Gohar Shahi is a type of Sufi master who is like no other. Right? If you obtain a spiritual anchorage at His Holiness Gohar Shahi, it will only mean that you have received annihilation status through God. Annihilation through God. Annihilation means you stop to exist. Annihilation through God. Annihilation through spiritual master will mean that you do not exist anymore in your body, in your form. Your spiritual master exists. Annihilation through the spiritual master will mean you look like yourself, but you will behave like your master. You will have the same authority and power like your master. Same authority. Anything you say will be considered as if it was said by your master. And when you find annihilation through God, anything you say is equivalent of what comes from God. Guftaye u gufta Allah bavad. Do you understand? For example, Brother Steve. Brother Steve was granted annihilation through Jesus Christ. Annihilation through Jesus Christ. And then one day, Sarkar was looking at him with so much love. We were in America. And he was crying somewhere. He was alone and he was crying. And Sarkar called my name. Sarkar said, Younus, do you know where Steve is? I said, Sarkar, I don't know. Maybe somewhere in Leesburg. And Sarkar said, he loves me so much. He loves me so much. So I am anchoring his heart with mine. That was really great. So first he got anchorage through Jesus, and then he got it from Sarkar as well. This is anchorage, the spiritual anchorage of the heart. When you have this, even if your heart has no divine energy. Doesn't make any difference. When you have this, even if you don't want to see God, it doesn't matter. Seeing of God cannot equate with having God in you. Seeing God will not equate with having God in you. To have God is a different ball game. To have God is something else. You know, there is a difference, like a difference between the earth and sky. So much difference. So this anchorage is not a knowledge. It is a bounty of God. However, your sincerity and your spiritual ambition, your desire of finding union, this plays a very pivotal role in making the mind of your spiritual master to grant you spiritual anchorage. This is great. So one of your baby heart is missing from your unit heart, and it is replaced with the baby heart of your master. How can ever anyone be competent enough to reach this spiritual status? It's impossible. With the anchorage of the heart, there is a story. There was a Hindu Sufi in the temple of Somnath in Gujarat. And there was this statue in the temple. And this Hindu Sufi was so much in love with that statue, that the image of the statue was endorsed upon his heart. And Mahmud Ghaznavi, a Muslim warrior, he attacked 17 times. And every time he attacked, he failed. Why? Because of that Hindu Sufi. He was there. He doesn't understand your language. God, he doesn't understand your language, and he doesn't want to understand your language. He doesn't want to look at your face, and he doesn't want to look at your religion, to be honest with you. All he is interested in is an enlightened heart. Now, in order to go further on the same topic, let me tell you one more thing. You're a compound creature. You have a body and you have soul. Right? The body is different in nature as compared to the soul. Why do you think the soul will embrace the religion of your body. It is completely different. The soul is different in nature. Therefore, every man is supposed to have two religions. Every man and a woman, every human being is supposed to have two different types of religion. The religion of souls is the same for the entire humanity. Right? The religion of souls is same for the entire humanity. Why? Because in the primordial times, all the souls were together. They did not differ in nature. They were all together. So the religion of souls is the same for all the souls. But the religion of body differs. Hinduism is the religion of body. Christianity is the religion of body. Islam is the religion of body. Judaism is the religion of body. There was no sign of Islam, Hinduism, Christianity, Judaism when God created all the souls, and all the souls were in front of God, and He asked them, "Am I not your Lord?" At that time, there was no religion. And all the souls affirmed in positive. So at that time, the only religion that existed was God's love. So those who developed love of God in that moment in time, those souls were then sent into this world. Some of them came to this world and they were born in Hindu families. Some others were born in Jewish and Christian and Muslim families. Some of them became Baba Guru Nanak, others became Kabir Das and Narayan Das, Baba Farid, Khwaja Gharibun Nawaz. They were all together before they came into this world, in this material world. A body needs to adopt a religion to awaken the soul. All you need to do is to awaken the soul. The soul already has its religion. The soul already has its religion, and the religion of the soul is God's love. And this also is God's religion. God also has a religion, right? Allah ka deen bhi hai. God also has a religion. But do you think God, like you and me, goes to a temple? No. God doesn't go to a mosque, does He? He doesn't go to a church. What is God's religion? God's religion is love. This is why Jesus said in the Bible, God is love and love is God. One who doesn't know love, he doesn't know God. God is love and love is God. One who doesn't know love, he doesn't know God. If you adopt God's love, you enjoin God on the path of love. Then you will love God and God will love you. These religions, Islam, Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, Sikhism, these religions will cater for the physical needs of purification. It will purify your body. It will purify your negative psyche. And ultimately you will reach the awakening of the soul. And when the soul is awakened, your job is done. Because the soul already has a religion. And all the messengers of God, all the prophets of God, all the friends, saints of God, practice the religion of God. Once your soul is also enlightened, you will join them. Your religion is the same as theirs, and their religion is the same as yours. And this will only happen when the body is purified and the heart has become enlightened. Because the heart is like a prefect for your body. You know, in the schools, among the student, one of you is chosen as a prefect who takes care of the entire class. He is not a teacher, he is just a student. But he is given this responsibility to discipline everybody in the class when the teacher is away. In a similar way, the heart is made the prefect. Okay? You now harmonize the soul and the body. The heart is given this responsibility to make a bridge between the body and the souls. Once the heart is completely enlightened and the harmony has been established between the souls and the body, you will enter the religion of God. And the religion of God is love. And anyone, whether through Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, or Judaism, anyone from any religion, when he manages to purify his body and the negative psyche, and he manages to enlighten his souls, he says, I am not Muslim anymore. I am not Hindu anymore. I'm not Christian anymore. Who are you then? I'm a servant of God. My religion is God's love, and the entire humanity is my nation. The entire humanity turns to be his nation. Why? Because he develops the divine attributes. God, creator of the entire world, who created different species of creation. Don't you think he loves his creation? If he hated his creation, if he hated the idea of creation, he wouldn't have created them. So you need to understand the fact that God naturally loves all. Whether you are a Hindu today or a Sikh or a Muslim today, this is your temporal identity. This is not your permanent identity. Your permanent identity is that you are creation of God. You're God's creation. That's your permanent identity. And once the souls are enlightened, then you do not see difference. In the eyes of a Sufi, the entire creation of God is equal. Because God loves all, He adopts this divine paradigm, and He also have this natural impulse, right? Natural, exuberant impulse, very urging impulse. I must love all, because this is what God does. And as a true servant of God, I must do as God does. God loves all, I must love all. If you have hatred for anybody, think twice before you call yourself a Sufi. A Sufi cannot hate anybody. It is impossible. Let me tell you a story of a woman at the time of Prophet Muhammad. Prophet Muhammad had an uncle. His name was Amir Hamza. And Amir Hamza was such a nice, wonderful guy, sublime in character, very kind-hearted. And he loved Prophet Muhammad like crazy. And there is this woman, her name was Hinda. They killed Prophet Muhammad's uncle and tore his body apart, and she cut off the liver from Amir Hamza's body, and she chewed the liver. She was mother of Amir Mawiyah. So Prophet Muhammad was really sad when this happened. But look what happened when Prophet Muhammad returned to Mecca as victorious leader. When the conquest of Mecca happened, Prophet Muhammad entered Mecca with victory. He could have taken revenge, but he forgave them all. And when that woman came in front of Prophet Muhammad, all Prophet Muhammad said to her was, because of what you did to my uncle, every time you come in front of my eyes, I recall the incident. I have flashes of what happened in the past, and I don't feel good in my heart. So will you please do not come in front of my eyes? That's all he said. But he didn't hate anybody. So when you become a Sufi, I'm not saying you took initiation of the heart yesterday and today you're expecting to become a complete Sufi. It will take time. If you see somebody showing, negative ailments, it doesn't mean that he has become a complete Sufi. It takes time. But ultimately, when you have reached your destination, when your inner and outer is harmonized, when your outer is as pure as your inner, when your speech is as pure as your intention, in that moment in time, you'll become a perfect Sufi. Then, even if you want to, you cannot hate anybody. I'm telling you, honest to God, I have this difficulty in my heart. Nobody, no matter what people do to me, I do feel hurt sometimes. But after a few minutes, my heart is the same again. I don't feel hatred for anybody. I don't feel hatred for the enemies. Forget about the friends. In the past, I used to question myself, how will you befit you? How will you befit in the character of a Sufi? A lot of people do a lot of bad things to you, And then obviously when somebody does bad thing to you, you feel really awkward. And I tried to force myself to not to hate them, but there was hatred in the heart. And I used to think maybe I'm not a Sufi. But then a time came and I realized now my heart is a sanctuary for everybody. Everybody. I cannot hate anybody. Even if I try, I cannot hate anybody. Such is the magic of His Holiness Gohar Shahi. I cry for people. I cry when I want them to adopt spirituality and they turn their back on it. I cry because I feel that God has given this potential to everybody. Why they're not heedful? When you can house God in you, why do you shut the door of God's entrance into your heart and you restrict yourselves to pilgrimage to the holy land and holy buildings? Why? Why you don't want to love God? Why do you want to waste your time? The panel is going to discuss these points and then we will move forward.
Question Marba. His Holiness Younus AlGohar was explaining to us about the spiritual anchorage. So His Holiness explained to us what an anchor is. The definition of an anchor, when you read it obviously in the dictionary, is it is used for boats to keep it going away from shores when the waves come in. In a similar sense, a spiritual anchor is meant for the elite ones. Because the heart is a vessel in this world, and His Holiness explained that this world is like an ocean. So from helping your heart going astray, it keeps it onto the right path, so it doesn't get misguided, it doesn't go anywhere else. And His Holiness explained how this works, and for people who wanted to have a perfect union with God, the Sufi master, he provides that anchorage for them to reach their destination. So they can reach their destination and they won't go wrong in any way. His Holiness then explained through the blackboard how the heart is split into 4 parts. So we have the pine heart, which is the main heart. And then you have the 3 other parts, which includes the first baby, which is the secured heart. Then you have the directed heart, and then lastly you have the witnessing heart. So these are the 3 babies that are placed within the heart. The pine heart is then used. His Holiness gave an example as the mother that's holding these 3 babies within that heart. And then His Holiness explained that so how the spiritual master, what he does is he takes the secured heart and he takes that out and he places that within his own heart. And the spiritual master then what he does is he takes his own his baby heart that he has, the spiritual heart, and he places that within your heart. Through this, you have that presence within him. You have the spiritual master's presence within you. If you wanted to continue from there.
Yeah, so that was, we were really looking forward to the spiritual anchorage, and it has been revealed what the spiritual anchorage is, and it's so beautiful. And His Holiness explained by the blackboard, and we were shown, the circle and the four different parts. And His Holiness explained that it's, the heart starts off with the pine heart, Qalb-e Sanobar, that's the base unit, the mother. And that's where, the spiritual sperm comes, and then you give birth to the secured heart, and then the directed heart. And then when God, when it has witnessed God, and it develops into the witnessing heart. So now you have these four units, the base unit being the pine heart, then the secured heart, and the directed and the witnessing heart. And then when the spiritual mediator wants, when he wants to do this, and when somebody wants to enter into divine union with God, then and this method is for the elite ones, those who really want to have God within them. Then what the spiritual and is done either through the spiritual mediator or the messenger or via God. And His Holiness explained that what then happens is that the first, for example, the first unit, the spiritual offspring that you have, the secured heart, the spiritual mediator takes that offspring out of you, the spiritual baby from your heart, and he replaces it with his own divine offspring, and that's the offspring of the spiritual master. And then at this stage, that individual is known as Fana fi Sheikh, and in English it would be the annihilation through the Sufi master, the spiritual guide, the spiritual mediator. And then there's three types of that. Either the spiritual master performs it, or the messenger performs it. And then the example was given of Steve, who is also next to me, and His Holiness said, what an amazing and beautiful happening, that Steve was performed the annihilation via and through Lord Jesus Christ. But then one day what happened in America, Steve was out somewhere, and His Holiness, His Divine Eminence Lord AlGohar, he looked at him with so much love, and His Divine Eminence then called upon His Holiness Younus AlGohar and said, Younus, do you know where Steve is? And His Holiness said that, no Sarkar, where is Steve? And His Divine Eminence said that he loves me so much. And then what His Divine Eminence did was, he replaced that spiritual offspring with his own spiritual offspring. That is so beautiful, so beautiful. And His Holiness explained that this is not a knowledge, this is a bounty of God. And you have to attain and obtain the will of the spiritual master, the Sufi master, or the messenger, or God. And also what His Divine Eminence, His Holiness said, was that when you are on the path of His Divine Eminence Lord AlGohar, you're not going to start from the annihilation of the Sufi master or the messenger. Via His Divine Eminence, you go directly annihilation into God. That was so amazing. So that was the point of the spiritual anchorage, and His Holiness said that through this method you can never go astray. You can never, it's like you have a boat, and when you reach the shore you put an anchor to the boat so it doesn't sail away. So in the same way, when this anchor is placed, when the Sufi master or God removes your offspring and places his own offspring, he's taken your offspring and kept it with him, and he's placed within you his own offspring, his divine germ is going to be within you, and that is the equivalent of God's presence within you. And His Holiness also said that at this stage, when the man says something, it is equivalent to what God is saying. And if it's done through the spiritual master, then he starts to act like the spiritual master. What he says is what the spiritual master is saying. And this is how this divine anchorage, when it's placed within the heart, this is how after this you will reach the destination no matter what. You cannot go astray, you cannot go off the path, you cannot be misguided. And then came the point of the religion of the souls. Would you like to touch upon that?
Yeah, I mean that was the next point, was that the souls, their religion is God, is love. So the bodies don't need, the bodies already have the religion. But when you come down, you come into to be a Hindu, a Jew, or a Muslim. That was a beautiful point, amazing point. Rehan, do you want to expand on that?
कुछ बोलेंगे?
Today we have learned so many points. Among those points, 2 points is I feel and I really experience. These 2 points was if God has create entire the world with love, and God is loving all material and all souls and all creation. So anybody will love with creation, then automatically he entitled to love with the God. This is the love of religion of all souls and love religion of God also. So that we must love to entire creation, so we can qualify to love with God. And we must love to God. It is the ultimate our goal, a destination. It is not important to see the God in going temple and spiritual places, but it is very, very important to install God in our heart.
Wow, wow.
It was also the beautiful points for me. Thank you.
I would like you to discuss that thing where you cannot find God. God will find you.
Oh yes.
Yes.
That was the beauty.
Yeah, that was wonderful.
Talk about that point.
This help, His Holiness Goshi put it as giving us help, God's help to find us through the shiny hearts. And that was a beautiful point as well that Swami gave, that in those primordial times, we just had, our religion was love, was God. The soul had no religion. But the only point is when that soul comes down into whatever body, the purpose of that is to find the religion and to awaken your heart. And once the heart's been awakened, then you say you don't follow any religion, you follow divine love, and then you'll have love for all humanity. A Sufi loves everybody. So that was a beautiful point. But yeah, I mean, if people just realise that that's a basic step for a common person, how easy it is now. As His Holiness said, they could just stumble across in an expo, have their heart awakened. Somebody could be following a religion, bodily worshipping for their whole life, and still not manage to reawaken their heart. But this bounty of Lord Younus AlGohar just awakens the heart. The heart becomes shiny, and then when God does look down, He will notice this shiny heart. That was just wonderful.
And the example that Sarkar gave as well, that when we look into the sky, we see the stars, but we don't know their names, do we? But we can recognize them, that they're stars, because they're shiny, they're glittery. In the same way, when God looks down, it's darkness everywhere. But what He does see is the shining hearts. And it's for that moment, it's said that God doesn't look at your faces or your deeds or your actions. He looks at the shining hearts. And then we were given that example that we have people who are sinners amongst those people that practice the religions. But those people that are practicing the religion, they haven't awakened their heart. They haven't enlightened their heart or made their heart shiny and worthy to be seen by God. But they may be sinners in the world. And they're just going about their daily life, going into the bars or discos or doing nothing religious. But they suddenly, they're at an expo and they bump into Steve and you're like, hey, take the opening of the heart, awakening of the heart. Suddenly they have the awakening of the heart. Yesterday they were dancing in the disco, and the next day they've been seen by God. And it doesn't matter what your face looks like, what religion you come from, what your actions or deeds were. What matters is that you've now suddenly awakened and enlightened your heart. And that is what God is looking for, the enlightened, shining hearts. And it was the initial example was, how do we help God find us? And yesterday it was also said that one of the functions of the secured heart is that it's like a GPS system. And once you've awakened the heart, the baby has come out, it acts as a GPS. Wherever you are, God can see you and locate you. So now, when we are not enlightened, we're the common man. How, it's said that we want to find God. It's just a phrase. When we want to find something, for example, I want to find my car. When I want to find my car, I'm going to have to locate it to find it. So in the same way, how can we find and locate God? Do we have a place that we can locate God in the mosque, temple, churches, synagogues? And the answer is no. So
You can't find it.
no, exactly. That was so amazing. It really hits it.
Yeah.
Hits the nail on the top. And the point is, if we can't locate God, what's the remaining option? And His Holiness Gohar Shahi says that you can't find God, you can't locate God. So you need to be able to help God find you. And how you do that, and that's how the example came, that God looks at shining hearts. You need to be able to activate the panic button within you, awaken the key fob within you, and when that's awakened, you press the panic button, and the master of that, the creator, will come looking for its creation. That's such a beautiful example.
Some people voluntarily panic without a button. LBC, London's biggest conversation. I listen to this radio station every day. But yesterday was a different day. And a thought came to my mind. We should have a similar program on ALRA TV. LBC, London's biggest conversation. What happens at LBC? There is a topic, and then they take calls and they ask people their point of view. So I decided that we should have a similar program where people from all over the world can call. We will take calls. We will set a subject, like this is the point of discussion, and what are your views about it? So that we can come to know what people are thinking, what's cooking in their mind.
Nice.
Right?
Yep.
So this is why we are about to start this program. Uska zara dikhana. A conversation with Younus AlGohar.
Nice.
And I was inspired by LBC. आप लोग सुनते हैं ना LBC कभी कभी?
Love it. It's the best.
London's biggest conversation. शीला फर्गटी. बहुत सारे लोग हैं और बड़े फनी लोग भी हैं. बड़ा उनका सेंस ऑफ ह्यूमर बड़ा जबरदस्त.
It's really good. It's really decent.
They're all varied.
Yeah.
Every one of them has got different political views.
Yes, yes.
They don't support any political party or religion.
Yeah, they're completely impartial.
Completely impartial.
Yeah. Where is it?
We even got, what's his name?
Yeah, Nigel Farage.
Nigel Farage.
Oh, yes.
Right down to who's on 12 o'clock one. He's a real socialist. It's like the midday.
Michael Doherty.
Most of them are Remainers, aren't they?
Yeah.
But yeah, mostly.
Brexit is all up in the air at the moment.
After LBC is London's biggest conversation. But this will become world's biggest conversation.
Wow. WBC. Wow.
We will select a topic, advertise it, and then we'll take calls from people. Right? For example, many issues, spiritual issues, social issues, political issues, right? And sectarianism in Islam. Let's discuss this. Catholicism. What is Catholicism? Let's discuss this. Right? Sufism. What do you think of this? So when people call us and they know their voice is being heard all over the world, they will be really careful. One-to-one conversation, you can say anything, it's your word against their word. But when you know I'm being heard all over the world, you take a bit of caution. And then if you say anything wrong, we can give you references from all the books, and we can, show you the way. So this is really going to help. There will be different topics. So the first topic is the Kashmir issue, in which we want everybody to call, Indians, Pakistanis, Kashmiris, call us and tell us your point of view. And then in the end, Swamiji will tell you what is his point of view. Right? Yeah. Because this is going to be, we want to know, what do you think and how accurate your thought process is. Because sometimes, most of the time, the thought process you have is built on what you hear from the news channels. Maybe you do not know the truth. Maybe you think you know everything, but you don't know anything. Let's discuss it. Don't bottle it up. Speak. It's good to talk. Call BT. Join now. It's good to talk. They introduced 1 penny per minute in 1993. So there was this ad. It's good to talk. Talk as much as you can for 1 penny. Some people really are chatterbox. But when, they are asked to speak and it's official and everybody is hearing you, everybody is listening to you, then, they're unable to talk. We're going to have some music from Nadeem Bhai today. Nadeem Bhai, तैयार हैं आप? या आज तैयारी नहीं की? وہ سنا دیں دم مست قلندر مست. So I have a lecture tomorrow at 4. And what's the topic?
मनम गुलाम अली मनस्तो मनम गुलाम हजार जान गिरामी फिदायना एक विरद है दम दम अली अली 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 सखीलाल कलंदर मस्त मस्त सखीलाल कलंदर मस्त मस्त झूलेलाल कलंदर मस्त मस्त दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त मस्त दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त मस्त दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त एक विरद है दम दम अली अली एक विरद है दम दम अली अली सखीलाल कलंदर मस्त मस्त सखीलाल कलंदर मस्त मस्त झूलेलाल कलंदर मस्त मस्त दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त मस्त दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त मस्त दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त कलंदर मस्त मस्त दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त मस्त दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त आखी जमलंगा तू अली 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 आखी जमलंगा आखी जमलंगा तू अली 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 आखी जमलंगा आखी जमलंगा सच अपमान लड़गे आखी जमलंगा सच अपमान लड़गे अज नहीं तो कल सारे मस्त 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 दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त मस्त दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त मस्त कलंदर मस्त मस्त दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त एक विरद है दम दम अली अली एक विरद है दम दम अली अली सखीलाल कलंदर मस्त मस्त सखीलाल कलंदर मस्त मस्त झूलेलाल कलंदर मस्त मस्त दम मस्त 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 कलंदर मस्त रब ने कितने शान वधाए बेकरमाते कर्म कमाए बेकरमाते कर्म कमाए रब ने कितने शान वधाए बेकरमाते कर्म कमाए बेकरमाते कर्म कमाए जेड़ा भी तेरे दर ते आए कदी मुड़ना खाली जाए एक विरद है दम दम अली अली एक विरद है दम दम अली अली सखीलाल कलंदर मस्त मस्त सखीलाल कलंदर मस्त मस्त झूलेलाल कलंदर मस्त मस्त दम मस्त 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 कलंदर मस्त मस्त एक विरद है दम दम अली अली एक विरद है दम दम अली अली सखीलाल कलंदर मस्त मस्त सखीलाल कलंदर मस्त मस्त झूलेलाल कलंदर मस्त मस्त दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त मस्त दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त मस्त शाना ऊंचिया तेरी पीरा शाना ऊंचिया तेरी पीरा ओवन दूर हनेरी पीरा ओवन दूर हनेरी पीरा शाना ऊंचिया तेरी पीरा शाना ऊंचिया तेरी पीरा पीरा आसा है बतेरे पीरा मेरी पीरा
एक विरद है दम दम अली अली एक विरद है दम दम
अली अली
सखीलाल कलंदर मस्त मस्त
सखीलाल कलंदर मस्त मस्त
झूलेलाल कलंदर मस्त मस्त दम
मस्त कलंदर मस्त मस्त दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त मस्त दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त मस्त दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त मस्त
एक विरद है दम दम अली अली
एक विरद है दम दम अली अली
एक विरद है दम दम अली अली
एक विरद है दम दम अली अली सखीलाल कलंदर मस्त मस्त सखीलाल कलंदर मस्त मस्त
झूलेलाल कलंदर मस्त मस्त
मस्त कलंदर मस्त मस्त दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त मस्त दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त मस्त दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त मस्त
अखी जमलंगा तू अली 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 अखी जमलंगा
अखी जमलंगा तू अली 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 अखी जमलंगा
अखी जमलंगा सच अपमन लड़गे
अखी जमलंगा सच अपमन लड़गे
अजनित कल सारे अली अली कहणगे मस्त 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 मस्त
दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त मस्त दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त मस्त दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त मस्त दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त मस्त
दम मस्त कलंदर
मस्त मस्त दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त मस्त दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त मस्त दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त मस्त
एक विरद है दम दम अली अली
एक विरद है दम दम अली अली
एक विरद
है दम दम अली अली एक विरद है दम दम अली अली सखीलाल कलंदर मस्त मस्त सखीलाल कलंदर मस्त मस्त
झूलेलाल कलंदर मस्त मस्त दम
मस्त कलंदर मस्त मस्त दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त मस्त दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त मस्त दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त मस्त
अली या अली या अली या या एक विरद है दम दम अली अली
एक विरद है दम दम अली अली
सखीलाल कलंदर मस्त मस्त
सखीलाल कलंदर मस्त मस्त झूलेलाल कलंदर मस्त मस्त दम मस्त 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 कलंदर
मस्त कलंदर मस्त मस्त
दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त
दम मस्त कलंदर मस्त मस्त
I'm feeling a bit down today, so we'll call it a day, and we'll talk about the next chapter tomorrow, which is the rest of the souls of the breast. We will discuss that tomorrow, and meditation. Thank you so much.